Hello literate people. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a book called The Bone Dolls Twin. It's written by someone called Lynn Flewelling, and it's the first book in a trilogy or a triad. Now it's a standalone trilogy, but it's linked to another series called the Night Runner series by the same author, which is a series of about 6 books, soon to be 7 in April of next year. You can read it all by itself as a standalone series, or you can fit it into the other. And it's about a girl who thinks she's a boy. But that's okay, because everybody else thinks she's a boy too, except for her father and a couple of wizards and a hedge witch, which put a spell on her to make her take on the semblance of her twin brother. Now, it's a fantasy, and in this instance that means there's kings and queens, and it's set in an imaginary country called Scala, and they fight their wars with swords and sharp things rather than bombs and modern stuff. But why? Why would they spell this baby girl so that she looked like her brother? You may well ask. It's because of a prophecy. So long as a daughter of the Latimos's line defends and rules, Scala shall never be subjugated. These words have been written on huge gold tablets in enormous letters for generations, and they've worked just fine. But at the moment there's a king, because the last queen went mad and was usurped by her brother. Now, the king is doing a bang-up job. Everyone likes him, except for a few plagues, some famine, some drought, probably tied back to the prophecy. Another disconcerting thing is the fact that all the female heirs to the royal line keep turning up dead with great regularity. I'm talking sisters, aunties, nieces, babies in their cribs. Now, this is all a bit dodgy, and it's been implied that the king has got something to do with it. At the time this story begins, there's only one female heir left, and that's the king's younger half-sister, which he's quite fond of. But the significant part is that she's pregnant, and she's pregnant with twins. Now, of course, the fact doesn't escape anyone that if at least one of those babies turns out female, it's not looking too good for her. The book opens with a chapter in which Aya, a particularly sprightly 232-year-old wizard, goes to visit an oracle on an unrelated issue and is given a vision of the future if it's allowed to progress the way it's been going. She's also presented with a solution and the distasteful knowledge that it's up to her to make it so. Black makes white, foul makes pure, evil creates greatness. And the second chapter is about what Aya does. She finds a hedge witch that's really good at necromancy, and her and her apprentice, they go and attend the birth of the twins, where the witch smothers the boy child, and then they perform a binding spell where they stitch switched skin and bone, which binds the twins together and causes one to take on the appearance of the other. But the witch gets distracted at a crucial moment, and the boy baby is allowed to take a breath, the soul's breath, and that's where things start to go a little bit wrong. I'm not actually giving you any spoilers here, because all of this stuff happens in the first 2 chapters. Now, they call the baby Tobin, and they raise a son, because, as I said before, only those 4 people know that he's really a girl and is destined to be queen. Not even his mother knows. For the purpose of the review, I'll refer to our protagonist as Tobin and use pronouns like he, him, his, because that's all that he knows. First book in the triad covers the first 13 or so years of our protagonist's life, and as you can probably already tell by the way the story's set up, he doesn't have a particularly easy or pleasant childhood. Just wait till you meet his mother. It's got all the usual elements of your standard sort of coming-of-age story, apart from the gender thing and the haunting. Did I mention the haunting? Well, see, the twins were bound together, and the dead baby is really angry. because he knows what was done to him and who did it. And when he's in a mood, he can be quite solid and quite vengeful. Now, the haunting's all a bit confusing for Tobin, because intellectually he knows it's his dead twin that's haunting him. But the dead baby was a girl, wasn't it? Some of the themes you'll be exploring are the whole good versus evil thing. Do the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? And is it better to do evil for altruistic reasons than for selfish reasons? Or should you just not do it? And if you do, should you be forgiven? There's also the theme of gender identity, nature versus nurture. Tobin secretly sleeps with a doll. But is that because he's really a girl? Or because he's rebelling against his father's dead set against any sort of feminine influence? Or is it because he does it to feel closer to his mad, loveless mother? Or because his mad, loveless mother has dug up the bones of his dead twin and shoved them inside the doll? You can pick up this book and any of the rest of the trilogy from just about any library or bookshop. But if you want the other books, the Night Runner books by the same author, you're probably going to have to order them in, which has probably got something to do with the LGBT themes, which are more prevalent in that series than in this one. Now, the author hasn't exactly entered the e-revolution yet. You're not going to be able to download EPUBs and put this on your Kindle. Yeah, it's paper all the way. Who is this book written for? Well, it's fairly obviously a young adult novel, although for your mature, established readers. It's not going to pull in your reluctant, struggling reader, because there's not a climax at the end of every other page. It's world building and character building. It's descriptive, and as the first book in a trilogy, it's playing a long game. Some people aren't a fan of the fantasy genre, but good fantasy and good science fiction is life. It should be real. Worlds can be entirely unreal and alien, but the people should be real. Their characters, their emotions, their reactions, and I think the author's managed to pull this off. So I guess all there's left to say is, why are you still sitting here? Go out and read a book.